What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the NS Podcast. Today I'm actually in my comfy hooded sweatshirt. My buddy Kyle over at Harnish Workwear made this for me. A little shout out to him. Today I want to answer what you should be buying your builder or your contractor for the holidays. But before I do, let's give a quick update as to what we got going on. So we are rolling into framing on our Rhode Island passive home, or passive. I want to clarify, it's actually not going to be a certified passive house. It's going to be built with the methodology behind passive home construction. I also feel like I can say methodology of passive home construction because I'm actually taking my certified passive home builder exam, or I'm in class right now to take my exam, which it's a wealth of information. If energy efficiency or building just at a better level is of any interest to you, and it should be, because some of the conversations we're having in these classrooms is that this is going to be the norm in 10 years from now. We see codes becoming stricter and stricter year after year, and eventually we're going to get to a point where we are building to a passive level. And what does passive really mean? It's I'm not going to get into the complete definition, but building in a way that uses less resources, meaning less material. Everyone's always, or not always, but a lot of times people think that it's over insulating your home, putting so much insulation. And actually, one of the first classes that I was in talked about how much insulation is enough, and they say just enough, meaning that you have just enough to hit the requirement that you need from a thermal requirement, and nothing more. And that was really interesting to me, because you tend to think like, oh, just over insulate, we'll put a bunch of insulation, and that's not the case. But either way, if you're interested in it, I would definitely recommend looking into it. I'm going through PHIUS, which is PHIUS. It's a great course. Halfway through it, get one more week, and then I can take my exam to become a certified passive home builder. So down in Rhode Island, we are beginning framing. As you guys have been taking a look at our site visit series as well as Instagram, you see that the concrete slab on deck has been installed. Steel has been installed for a couple weeks now, and now the framer's on site doing layout, getting sills set, and we have our first lumber drop to get our first floor deck on. Once that first floor deck is on, we'll be able to temporarily heat the basement. We'll get our slab in down there, but it's at this point off the critical path because of the way Brian on site actually got some of the additional strip footings in the basement, in order for us to get our structural walls installed without having our concrete slab. We'll bring you down there through another episode of Site Visit. We'll show you what's going on down there, walk you through some of the framing details, just to kind of dig into it for a moment. It's a rather traditional framed home, meaning that we're using wood frame construction, 2x6 walls, which we filled with a rock wool comfort bat. We are doing 24 inches on center. We worked with the structural engineer to make sure that met structural requirements, but it also reduced our lumber consumption, which is great just from a passive level, or passive home methodology, but also, less lumber, less cost. So everything is 24 inches on center. And then on the outside of that wall, we're going to actually have 2 layers of rock wool insulation. Now, traditionally, you think of rock wool as the fluffy stuff. They have a semi-rigid product they call comfort board, and we'll have 2 layers, so 6 inches of exterior insulation on the outside of our exterior walls prior to our siding, which will be a white cedar shingle. In the back bay, we have our 2 projects, one that we are in final punch list on. It has been many years, lots of challenges we faced on that job. But we are in our final week, and we go into final paint, and then the cleaners arrive next week, so we can deliver that home finally to the homeowners prior to the holidays. Like I said, it's been a challenging project. There has been an enormous amount of design build. The one thing I look back on and wish we had done differently is really taking the time to nail really consider all the details prior to starting. And, and this isn't something that I'm realizing now. It's something I've realized, a year plus ago, which is really why we've put such an effort onto making sure that our designs are complete prior to construction. Our other Back Bay project we're working on with John Buckley Architecture. That project, we are through demolition. We talked about it on a previous episode about being able to do demolition prior to finishing the design, the opportunity to see what the space looks like, uncover all the uncertainties, and then confirm what we are making assumptions on, such as structural integrity of things. Unfortunately for that project, we found numerous code violations when it came to electrical. We found 2 hidden radiators behind walls that were actually active. So we are working with the homeowner to assess what we're looking at and determine how far we take this demolition in efforts to understand by doing that, we're considering what the end result is and working backwards from there. Things like restructuring the floors or rebuilding the floors versus sistering them. We need to make all those considerations. And of course, all of those considerations are usually centered around, budget and timeline. So we're working on that now. We're hoping to start construction just after the new year. And we wrapped up our Cambridge project with Walker Architects. I had the opportunity to walk Brad from AFT, who was here last week on the podcast, through that project. What a great space, great homeowner. Really happy to have been able to deliver that project, especially before the holidays. That was another project that, when we got through demo, we realized, or we found all of these code issues, structural issues, and that project timeline actually increased by a few months. And now to be able to deliver it before the holidays, he's moved in. He's had an opportunity to live there, and I got to see him last week. And the space just looks really incredible. I'm excited to get back on site now that the home is furnished and hopefully photograph that and of course video it and share, the final product on that. Flipping over to our Charlestown project, our kitchen with Kelly McGill. So the big push there was to make sure that we deliver the inside of that home prior to Thanksgiving, which the team did an incredible job actually getting done. So they were able to enjoy Thanksgiving there, and they're going to be able to enjoy the holiday season coming up as we wrap up the exterior of the home. We'll be pretty much punched out prior to our holiday break. And then we're deferring some of the work for the springtime just because it makes sense from a permitting and just realistically, it's work that doesn't need to be done and it's not critical path and it's part of a partial renovation. So we'll take care of that stuff in the spring. But that kitchen came out beautiful, very traditional cabinetry, a design that Kelly and her team came up with for the bathroom that we did just 2 years ago. We brought down into the kitchen. Cooper actually just posted a great shot of the skylight that we installed. A lot of people asked why there's not a lot of windows in the space. Well, we're in a single family home in Charlestown that has a 27-inch, I think, wide alley around the home. So there's not a lot of light that you can see coming through the wall. So we installed a 48 by 96 skylight above the kitchen space to draw in that natural light from above. And then we have our new project with Steve Teak. That site is been prepped. Demo has been completed. We actually stripped all the topsoil and stored that stuff on site. One of you guys had asked that previously, hoping that we were saving it, not getting rid of it. And that's exactly what we did. We stripped all the topsoil, put it back in the corner, or all the loam, put it back in the corner to be used in the future, and then prep the site so we could stake out the future home, as well as prep for foundation. We are in permitting right now. Based on the online portal they have set up, it looks like it's moving through the approval rate. It looks like it's moving through all the approvals rather quickly, and in efforts to hopefully get this foundation in the ground before we hit a deep freeze so we can prep for a successful start in the spring with framing and site work. And then, of course, we're working on some pre-construction for a project in Milton with Hutker Architects, as well as another project with Of Possible. We've teased a little bit on our channel, a really incredible single-family home, very modern aesthetic, and hoping to break ground on that in the spring. And then the one with Hutker, we're hoping to break ground on that again before a deep freeze. It would be great to get the thing in the ground before the winter, so we can get going as far as framing this home and delivering it to the family that has been working on the design and the layout of the home for just about a year now with myself, or ourselves, and Hutker Architects. So before I answer the question of the week, I want to mention that this podcast is brought to you by Run. It's an app that we're using on our phone and our laptop to help get material to the job site, and saving us 2+ hours for every time that we used to be going out to the lumberyard or the box store to pick up something. Now we can do it right from the convenience of our phone. Oftentimes we're bringing free coffee along with it. On a nice cold day today, a nice hot cup of coffee oftentimes feels good, unless you're like me and you like iced coffee year round, but that's just the New England in me, I suppose. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, podcast.renorun.ns, sign up for free delivery, and check it out. I know it's available in Philly, Boston, Chicago, as well as Canada, and they are rapidly expanding. If you guys aren't following them on Instagram, make sure you do that, but also hit them up on LinkedIn, because you'll see at the rate at which they're growing, and it's really interesting to see a company that is solving a really big issue in our industry grow so rapidly and be so successful. So congrats to those guys. So I wanted to talk to you about what you should get your builder or contractor for the holiday season. Everyone's doing these gift guides, and I know Ken just did one on our channel. Mine's really simple. It's not so much something that you need to get us, but I want to call attention to the almost the unnecessary amount of stress that comes around the holiday season. I feel like as we get older and as time goes on, the stress and the anxiety around holiday season continues to increase over and over, year after year. And for us, we have families too, and we have, our needs and the hope that we can spend more time with our family. And I feel like our industry specifically oftentimes gets pressured to deliver, right up to the last minute, working all the way to Christmas Eve, working the day after Christmas, and just always on the gun to get as much done as possible. And almost every time I've been in that position, once you get beyond the holiday, whether it's, New Year's, after that, the pressure's gone. It's, I know you didn't get it done, but that's okay. We'll just wrap it up here in the next couple weeks. And for whatever reason, everyone pushes to get something done prior to Christmas. Now, I'm not saying that your builder shouldn't be, schedule driven, or you guys shouldn't be committed to having deliveries, delivering a project on time. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that it shouldn't change from what was previously discussed and all of a sudden moved up because you decide you want a holiday party, or you decide that you want the house in a different state in between Christmas and New Year's and the holiday New Year's. That pressure comes almost out of thin air, especially around this time of year. Now, for us, for NS Builders, we have decided that we're not working between Christmas and New Year's. We take off. We spend the 23rd as a company. We typically sit in this room. We talk about the year. We talk about our future. We talk about individual successes and struggles. We end up doing something fun, and then we all get together and get a great dinner before the break. And then as NS Builders, we actually pay mandatory PTO for the entire, I guess it works out to 10 days or so, and we come back to work on the 2nd of January. So everyone gets that time off. If you guys have been on this channel for a while, you know that we also do this around the week of July 4th, and then they accrue and everyone accrues vacation beyond that. It really just gives an opportunity at the beginning of the year and the middle of the year to stop, take some time with the family, and recharge. So what can you give your contractor or builder? The understanding that they deserve time off too. They deserve time to spend with their family, and the unnecessary increase in pressure or increase to get something done faster around this time is going to be, dangled in front of all of us. It's the same thing for us. We get to a point where it's like, you know what, I just wish I could finish my project at my house prior to everyone coming over for Christmas. And, that is something that we would love to do, but it doesn't always happen. And it can't be, and those expectations can't be unrealistic. So be a little bit more realistic and understanding that we're all human beings. We all deserve time off, and we all deserve time to spend with our family. And with that, I hope that you have a good holiday season. We have a couple more episodes before the holiday, but I just wanted to get that out there as we start in the beginning of December, and it'll be the new year before we know it. So guys, stay tuned for an episode of Site Visit and Revealed, and of course the NS Podcast, available on YouTube and all of the podcast apps. Appreciate you listening. Drop us a review if you are so inclined, and we'll see you guys next week.